Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Scrap Mechanic Survival Mode, and today is going to be an information-packed episode. I got a lot of stuff to share with you, but the main focus of it is going to be I improved my watering system immensely from the last time that you saw it. So it's no longer floppy, it is no longer up to like chance on certain plots on whether or not it's going to have enough water or miss it or hit it or whatever. Basically, it just works almost perfectly, and it uses about half the water that it used to use to water 110 plots. But I'm going to work my way up to that because I have a lot of other interesting changes and information that I have to share with you when it comes to my base here. As you can see, I've done a little bit of changes, a little bit of organizing. But first, I'd like to bring up some comments I've been seeing a lot, because some of them are spreading some misinformation, and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here when it comes to survival mode. So a couple episodes ago, when I got the fancy spuddling gun here, I kept saying how I wanted to rush home and make sure I make it before the raid comes because I didn't want to be late for the raid. And a lot of you were thinking that means I thought that the raid was going to happen whether or not I was at my home base, but there was another reason besides that. In earlier episodes, we had all discovered together that the raids will only happen when you're in the vicinity, in the rendering distance of your base. And if you're away and you come back after the raid was supposed to happen, it'll just happen when you arrive. But that's the problem. I wanted to avoid that happening, because in those raids where I was mining or harvesting or farming pineapple and broccoli, I was getting tape bots as part of those raids, and even a boss as part of those raids. So the tape bots, you can only take one hit from the tape bot and survive. After that, you're gonna die if you haven't healed yet. So if I come home from the raid after the raid was supposed to happen, that means by the time I get around over here, the bots are gonna spawn in, and I'm gonna be out in the open here while there's tape bots and hay bots and other bots heading towards my base. So I gotta come in exposed from behind, getting shot at, trying to make it to my base wall here, and I am so much more at risk of dying while they're attacking my base. But if I get here before the raid starts, I can go ahead and shack up behind these walls here and be defended from the tape bots' attacks a lot more than if I was to come in from out in the woods where the tape bots are going to be hanging out. So that was the reason why I was really rushing to be here before the raids happened, because I didn't want to get caught off guard and exposed in the open when the tape bots were around. I wanted to be ready, behind my defenses, prepared for the attack. Okay, another thing is so many people in the comments are speculating about how to activate the warehouse loots, because supposedly we're supposed to be able to loot everything in the warehouses, and as you saw in my episode, I didn't find the encryptor. I didn't have an opportunity to loot everything in the warehouse. So some people are saying you need explosives, you need to blow up these walls and get behind these walls, you need to find these switches, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to clear all the tape bots. All of these different theories going around on how to get the loot ability in the warehouse. But on Twitter itself, the devs have actually confirmed that the looting of the warehouses is not implemented yet. They're still working on the warehouses. So if you're looking for a way to officially loot the materials of the warehouse, that is not a thing that you can actually do yet. Another comment I've been getting is telling me that I need to get armor from the dress bot because that's why I was taking 55 damage. That's also not a thing that is existing in the game currently. All of the dress bot stuff is purely cosmetic. The reason why other people were taking less damage in some videos than I was is because they were actually in different versions of the game. They recorded those videos before I recorded my video in the warehouse, and for some reason the tape bots, I guess, got beefed up in an update somewhere along the way. Which I remember because in the pre-release, when I experienced a tape bot on the outside of the warehouse, they only did like 30 damage to me. And then they were doing 40 damage to people, and now they're doing 55 damage to people, which is quite a lot. Another comment I've been getting a lot is regarding packaging and inputting fruit into the packing stations. I keep pressing the button repeatedly to input the fruit into the packing stations, and everyone's telling me, just hold the button down. Why aren't you just holding the button? And the reason is because it doesn't work for me. When I hold the button, I put one fruit in, and then nothing else happens. Here, I'll waste a carrot. I hope it's just gonna be a carrot. And I'll hold the button down. Ready? Button's being held down. It is not, it is not going anymore. But if I press the button again, you can see it goes again. So that's why I keep pressing the button repeatedly, because holding down the button, I used to have it up to a switch. That didn't work either. So I have to press it repeatedly. I don't know if it's working differently for other people, but not for me at least. All right, so that sums up the comments. Now let's go along with the adjustments I've made to my base. So I haven't changed the cow meat on the wall, so that's still there. But I have a cookbot now, and honestly, I'm not too impressed with the cookbot. I mean, yeah, the pizza burger and the veggie burger, they will fill you up completely, but there's a lot of different ingredients you need to make these, and I kind of find it more convenient just to eat as I need rather than filling up completely. Because it often happens more often than not that one of these, your hunger or your thirst, is going to be running out before the other one. So it feels easier to me just to fill up with that. Plus, it takes two cow milk to make a burger and a wok steak and like all this stuff. So I did try one just to make sure it filled everything up completely. That is pretty cool if you're in a pinch, but I don't feel like collecting all the different ingredients every single time I want a burger. But it's a cute bot. It is a cute bot to have for sure. So I was sent an image on Twitter by Blessed here, and it shows an interesting way to connect your craft bot to chests. And this is actually a really, really awesome idea. Because what this does is all you really need is just this square right here. I just have these extra chests on the side. But what this is a loop. So that means that your outputs and your inputs, they're all in one chain. So as this goes and creates things and puts them into the output chest over here, that is technically connected through here, through this chain into the input. So you no longer have to take, I no longer have to take things from the output and put it back into the input. Everything is just one system. And then I also have the refinery over here that is hooked up, so it'll just all be going into itself. And then I have this set up like this because I've discovered that if you put these in these locations just like this, it can draw from every single one of these crates. However, this one over here, you see where this button is? Your crate has to be this far to the left of this button if you're looking at it with the output on the right. Because if I put this right here, it will not take from this resource container. It has to be right here or further over because it'll also take from this one. So now the entire center of my mechanic station is nice and open for driving through, which I think is really, really great. Also, I've farmed a lot more potatoes, so I'm completely full of potatoes here. I got a bunch of potatoes in here, as well as 2 warehouse keys, and that is not even including all the potatoes that I left in my car for when I go out scouting and I die. So I think that sums up the changes I've made into the mechanic station. So now I'm going to craft a bed for a very particular... Oh, where's all my cotton? Oh, did I really use all my cotton? Oh, wait, no. Hold on. I think I have... Yeah, I put a chest up here with cotton in it. What was it, 20 cotton? Do I need 20 cotton? But the reason why I want a bed is because a few people were commenting that I should put a bed by my farm. Because then if I die, if I use that bed and then I die during a raid, I will be right at the farm, ready to get my stuff and continue with the raid. So I think that is a fantastic idea. Oh, we got some cow milk over here. You may notice that we're missing some cows. Yeah, I came back here last night after building my watering system and all of my cows were gone. Every single one of them were gone. So I opened up the stalls. I found this other cow here and just herded this cow in here. But I don't know what happened to the rest of the cows, unfortunately. And I decided to put a chest over here to store some milk. And actually, I need some on me anyway. So now if we ever need milk, it's just a lot more easy to find over here. I organized a whole bunch of stuff. So speaking of organizing, let's go over to our farm now, and I'm going to show you what I've changed and explained the new watering system to you. All right, so we have a completely dry plot here, and you may notice that this looks a lot different and a lot cooler in my opinion. So we got all these different chests here, and these different chests are all dedicated to their own materials, except this. This is, I have a little bit of soil in here, but I did a little bit of farming last night, and I got some, I did a lot of beet farming. I filled up the entire farm 2 nights in a row with beets. And that allowed me to buy a lot of fertilizer because soon we're going to be trying to farm for a spud shotgun. I think that's going to be the next episode, actually. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. So yeah, we got our fertilizer and soil if we ever need the soil, but really, I don't think I'm going to expand this very much because my whole watering system is built for this exact dimensions. Then we got all of our potatoes, and then we've got all of our tomatoes, and then we've got all of our beets, and then our carrots, and then our oranges, and our blueberries, and our bananas, and our pineapples, and our broccoli. So now I don't have to keep running back to my mechanic station whenever I need to get seeds to plant over here. They're all gonna be here, which honestly makes me a lot more nervous now because when my farm gets attacked, I'm always worried that there's gonna be some straggling whipbot or something, little greeny guys, they're gonna come from over here and then just start hitting my seed chests. How durable are chests? I don't even know. I don't have a chest in my inventory, so I can't really check. So another thing I've done is I put recessed lighting into my plot here, and why are there missing blocks right here? Okay, fill that in. But yeah, as you can see, I put some recessed lighting into my farm here. So now, and also I have this lighting up here, which is really awesome. So now at night, I can clearly, very clearly see every single plot and if it's watered or not. So before I show you this watering system and explain how it works so you can build your own or just to get an understanding of it for your own curiosity, let's hop back into a previous version of the world and let's get a refresher on how my old one used to work so you can get an idea at what motivated these changes. So here's my old mechanic station. As you can see, a lot more messy, a lot more erratic. Oh, this is before I even got the dress bot. Oh, wait, what? Oh, that's interesting. I wonder then, because I still have my clothes that I got from these. So I wonder then if I put these back in the dress bot, which I don't even have here, would they have the same clothing? Or is it randomly generated when you open it? Huh. Well, I don't want to cheat that way anyway. So let's go back over to the farm. By the way, if you guys are not backing up or creating a backup copy of your survival world before every play session, that's a big risk. You should probably find the save folder, and every single time I go to do a recording, I always make a copy of my save file, just in case something goes terribly, terribly wrong. So here we go. We have a completely dry plot. So what I have here, I have the same amount of materials, pretty much, actually a little bit less, but this is how it works. When I press the button, you can see it starts extending the pistons out. Okay, that's not how that was supposed to work. It didn't go all the way the first. Well, that's one problem with it, as you can see. So yeah, it goes down, it goes back, and it slowly extends out to the side as it does this. And it does good usually at the beginning, but you see how it starts drooping? The farther and farther it gets away, the more it starts to droop. And then if you look at it from this direction, you can see the more it starts to sway. And that causes some inaccuracies a lot of times with the watering system. It'll skip over some plots, and it won't always get them. And actually, it did really surprisingly well this time. Usually it misses one or two over on the end there, just because of how much it sways. But just look at how inconsistent the speed is on that, because of the weight and the swaying. And then now it is all out of water. All right, so let's hop back in, and I'll show you what I've done to improve it. All right, here we are. We're back in the current version of the world. So the issue with that was that I was starting in the corner and extending all the way out to the side. So stacked pistons had to go and just stack their length, putting weight farther and farther away from the base attachment point. And the other issue with that is that the point that the cannons were attached to was moving from this corner all the way over to this corner, which made it virtually impossible to be able to stabilize that point on anything since it was moving a huge amount, pretty much from that corner over to that corner eventually. So what I needed to do was find a way to stabilize the attachment point of these cannons and have it be secured. And the way that I've done that, do I have my toilet on me? Yes, I do. We're gonna need this toilet. Oh, and speaking of, we still need to put our bed down. Where should I put the bed? I need like a bed spot. Oh, well, I'll just put I don't want to get hit by a greenie, because see, a greenie's been over here before. I don't know where to put the bed. You know, I'm just going to put the bed right here for now. Okay, so anyway, what I needed to do was stabilize the attachment point. So I have them now starting in the center of my farm. And then what I've done is these two pistons are doing the same exact thing that they were doing before. They're extending to the max and then retracting, and extending to the max and retracting. And rather than have them start from the corner, I have them start in the middle. And instead, they just go out from the sides rather than going out from a single side. So that means that the main attachment point is only going on one axis, this way and that way, which allows me to secure it on a rail just like this. And because the pistons don't have collisions, they just go right through it. So here, let's first watch how good it is at watering these plots and how stable it is, and then we can analyze the mechanism and see it working from up above. All right, ready? There we go. Look at that. So the only inaccuracy with this is sometimes it'll water more plots than it needs to. The most difficult part of this was getting it to stop pushing water when it needs to move the pistons out to the next row. But as you can see, it is targeting each row individually a lot more rather than just doing the shotgun approach. And then there we go on the final row. And that took like, what, 30 seconds or so? So then we can go ahead and turn the button off and it'll slowly come back. So now you can see on the top here, as it comes back, this is what made all the difference. Just having this rod here being stabilized on all of its sides, preventing it from swaying or anything like that. And now we only have a single piston coming out on each side from it, and they just don't collide with this, so it makes it a lot more stable. And then what that does, that actually only ends up going down to about half the water instead of the other system, which goes down to like nothing. So it's a huge advantage as far as water consumption, and I think it's actually faster as well. Now, a lot of you may be looking at this and noticing that these are not centered, and there's a reason for that, because this center point right here on the actual farm itself is in between blocks, and you cannot build on the center point. So they have to be off-centered from here in order to be centered on each row. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the details of how this is actually programmed so you can understand how it works. Now keep in mind, this is a relatively simplistic thing compared to what you could do. You could have it so that it specifically targets each individual plot one at a time. I think Khan actually did a much more complex system, so if you're interested in really complex things, then you're going to want to check out Khan's version of his watering system after this. But for people who like things a little bit more simplified and a little bit less complicated, like I do, then this is going to be a little bit more appealing to you. And this setup is particularly limited to this size of plot. You can expand it with more pistons, but I'm not sure how much more reliable that would be as far as stability goes. So the easy part is just the straight ones. All you want to do is have two pistons, and these are going to be extending to their full length, both of them. Every 2 steps, they're going to be changing. So you extend it to the full length, but then you need it to wait because you have to give it time to move out to the next row. So that's going to be happening during this slot here. And then it retracts, and then it waits, and then it extends, and then it waits, and then it retracts, and then it waits. So you just repeat that process. And this is not looping, by the way. This works perfectly to take this number of cycles for this size of a plot. So now the sideways pistons, the ones that are actually swapping rows, what's happening here basically is it's waiting first to extend for it to extend its full length. And then when the straight pistons are on their holding step, that's when this is going to extend by 3 blocks because each plot is 3 blocks wide. And then it holds while it contracts, and then it extends another 3 blocks, and then it holds while it extends another 3 blocks. So every 2 steps, you're going to be moving up another 3 blocks. So now the hardest part about this was trying to make it more efficient on water by not using water when it didn't need to. Because if I unhook this switch right here, then this is what it originally did. You see, it goes to the end, and then it just waters those plots way too much as the pistons extend. Then it comes back, and then it's just shooting water in one spot. The pistons extend, shooting too much water, and then it keeps going. And at this rate, it's going to run out of water by the time it gets to the end of the cycle. So what I had to do is figure out a way in order to have these stop shooting water while the pistons are extending, because it's just wasted water at that point. And I could probably do some more complicated logic setup, but all I needed was a piston and a sensor. So you can see right here, I got a sensor, and I have this piston that is with 1 block just above the sensor. And then all I had to do, I covered the timer. There's a timer down there, and the tough part was just finding the timing. But hook a timer into another controller that is controlling only this piston. And all of these controllers, by the way, have to be on the same speed. That way each step is going to be synced with the same amount of time. So then this timer down here that you can't see is actually going to delay the input of the switch by a certain amount, and that is all going to be dependent on what speed you have these set to. So I forget what my timer is set to, but it was just a trial and error thing. I think it's like 2.5 seconds or something, or maybe 2.75. I don't know. I found the perfect time just by adjusting it. So now what that does is I hook up the switch, the timer will delay this piston going, that piston goes in front of the sensor, and then that sensor is actually going to my logic system here, which I'll explain what that is in a second. And then as you can see, that sensor will stop the cannon firing process at exactly the right time once it reaches the end, and then it comes back up and resumes it as soon as it starts coming back down. So, and that's making me realize that I forgot to say what actually causes the cannons to fire in the first place. So, can I just lift this up and have it... Oh, I accidentally painted it. What color was that? All right, so if I just pick this up and put it down... Ah, man, it loses its paint job. That's disappointing. All right, so here you can see my logic system. So this is just your logic repeater, and this timer allows me to set how fast it's going to be. So I have it on 0.25, and that causes the cannons to go pretty fast. So this is just a loop. It's a timer connected to a NOR gate, connected to an AND gate, connected back to the timer. And actually, it doesn't even matter what direction. I think I just read that in the wrong direction, but it doesn't matter. As long as you have those three things in a loop, then it's going to constantly repeat. And then you want to hook up your switch to the AND gate, and that makes it so that it's not going to turn on until you turn on the switch. And then you want to hook up your cannons to that same AND gate so that it's off until the switch turns it on, and then you can see it starts repeating. And then I have the sensor hooked up into the NOR gate, so that makes it turn the whole sequence off when that sensor is active. And then that is how this entire thing shoots water when it's supposed to, and stops shooting water when it's not supposed to. And if I change the timing on this timer to like 1.75, you'll see it fires a lot slower. So you have full customizability over the speed of your cannons, but 0.25, it seems to be the best firing rate for this. And I just love the way that this looks moving up and down the rail. It looks so much smoother. And I just noticed that these things actually do have recoil. You can see a little bit of recoil as they're firing. There's a little bit of a bounce up and down. That's interesting. So now that I have an entire watered plot here, what I'm going to do is we're going to be prepping for the next episode, which is shotgun time, because they have officially fixed the fact that broccoli was giving me tomato whenever I harvested it. So now broccoli officially gives us broccoli when we harvest it, which is, it's just, I never thought I would appreciate something so simple. So that means that we, after a couple of harvests here, we should be able to afford, and actually I'm going to plant a bunch of pineapple too. This is going to be, we might get a boss tonight. That might be what happens tonight. But we will officially be able to afford, I think after 2 more harvests, a Spud shotgun for the first time. We got the Spudling gun recently. It is now time to get the shotgun. So I will do that, and we should definitely fertilize all of these as soon as possible. Can I double fertilize? Oh, I can double fertilize. That means that you cannot just spam click like you can with the planting. You don't want to accidentally waste fertilizer. Got to be a little bit more intentional with this. So in the next episode, we are going to be growing this plot of broccoli and pineapple, and probably dealing with one of the most intense raids we've had. I'm assuming a boss is going to come. And then we're going to package up these things and give a visit to the farmer. So I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of episode. It's a little bit different than what I normally do. It's a little bit shorter and more densely compacted with information, rather than just the general, let's survive and do our daily routine stuff. So let me know what you thought down in the comments below, and what was the most helpful piece of advice that you got from here? I mean, a lot of the advice in this videos came from the comments anyway, so you may have known some of it, but hopefully there was some stuff that may have been new to you. And I'm not even going to fertilize the potatoes because they grow pretty fast anyway. So I hope you guys are looking forward to the next episode where we're going to be protecting these very, very valuable crops. That's all my valuable seeds. So if these get destroyed, that means we got to go back into a warehouse to get more seeds. All right, if you missed any of the previous episodes of Survival, you can find them all in order in a playlist right here on the end screen, and you might enjoy some of these other videos too. Hope this video has earned your subscription. Anyway, this has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.